Coming up on Arirang News. With Israel's retaliatory strike in Lebanon's Beirut killing the highest-ranking Hezbollah official, and Hamas's political leader too assassinated in a suspected Israeli attack, the Middle East is seeing its most serious escalation of tension. On the back of a robust performance by the chip business, Samsung Electronics' operating profit for the second quarter reached 10.44 trillion won, surging around 15 times from a year earlier. Team Korea extended its medal-winning streak on Tuesday, with Shin Yu-bin and Im Jong-hoon snatching bronze in the mixed doubles table tennis, the first medal in 12 years, and judoka Lee Jun-hwan claiming another bronze in the men's under 81-kilogram judo. Welcome to the 9 p.m. edition of Arirang News. I'm Kim Bo-kyung. We begin with escalating turmoil in the Middle East. Hamas political leader has been reportedly killed in an Israeli strike in Iran, where he had been attending the inauguration of Iran's new leader. Hamas has vowed to retaliate. An Sung-jin starts us off with the latest.
Hamas's political leader Ismail Haniyeh was killed in Tehran on Wednesday. This is according to Iranian state media, which cited the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Hamas has pointed to Israel and says Haniyeh was killed by a Zionist strike on a special residence for veterans in the north of Tehran. The militant group leader was in Iran as he participated in the inauguration of new president Masoud Pezeshkian. Tensions may now escalate in the Middle East.
Haniyeh was already an open and easy target as a mediator in the political bureau for Hamas, making constant public appearances. After the assassination for Netanyahu, if his support rate from Israeli citizens go up, he may come forward with a hardline policy on demolishing Hamas. Another potential module is that he settles with the killing of Haniyeh and goes with an exit plan to end the war.
Haniyeh had been a key figure in Hamas responsible for the group's political operations, including hostage and ceasefire talks with Israel. A senior Hamas official says that Hamas will continue with its current path as they are confident of victory. It also pledged to seek retaliation as Haniyeh's actions will not go in vain. The same expert added that Iran's response is going to be a pivotal point in whether this conflict will develop into a major regional war.
Since the assassination happened to someone who was invited to the president's inauguration, there will be some sort of retaliation. Though they will try to contain it and maintain the equilibrium without having it further spill out, it's difficult to predict a military operation.
Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has strongly condemned the attack as a cowardly act, while Turkey's foreign ministry has issued a statement that accused Israel of escalating the conflict. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
And just before the reported strike in Iran, Israel carried out a retaliatory strike in Beirut, killing a senior Hezbollah commander, raising concerns over widening conflict in the region. Cha Yoon-kyung has the latest.
On Tuesday afternoon local time, an Israeli airstrike hit a southern suburb of Beirut, the capital of Lebanon. Lebanese media reported that the airstrike killed 3 people and injured more than 60. Israel's military claimed that this was in response to the attack of a football field in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights on July 27th, which killed 12 children. Israel's Minister of Defense Yoav Gallant has warned that Hezbollah crossed a red line on his social network service. The Israel Defense Forces stated on Wednesday that it carried out a targeted strike in the Beirut area on Tuesday against a Hezbollah commander who had led the rocket strike on the football field. As a result, local media outlets reported that the commander, Fuad Shukur, a senior military advisor to Hezbollah's leader, was killed in the Beirut airstrike. Fuad Shukur was known as a right-hand man to the Hezbollah leader and his advisor in planning and directing attacks and operations. In the meantime, the Israeli military attack on Beirut was on the day of the inauguration of Iran's new president, while senior leaders of regional militant groups backed by Iran, known as the Axis of Resistance, were present at the ceremony. According to Iranian media, Iran's embassy in Beirut condemned the cowardly and criminal attack in a statement on Tuesday. Pundits say that the strike might escalate into a full-scale war between Israel and Hezbollah, since tensions are now at their highest.
We do not believe that all-out war is inevitable, and we still believe that it can be avoided. And we're continuing to work towards a diplomatic resolution that would allow Israeli and Lebanese civilians to return to their homes and live in peace and security.
Iran's foreign ministry spokesman strongly condemned the attack and said it was a clear violation of Lebanon's sovereignty, adding that Hezbollah and Lebanon had the right to retaliate against Israel. Cha Yoon-kyung, Arirang News.
In the U.S., Vice President Kamala Harris appears to be standing slightly ahead over rival Donald Trump. A recent poll of over 1,000 American adults showed that 43% of registered voters supported Harris, while 42% supported Trump. In the same poll a week earlier, Harris had a 2 percentage point lead over Trump. The poll also showed that respondents preferred Trump's stance on the economy, immigration, and crime. Meanwhile, they favored Harris's plan for health care. Harris is set to be officially nominated as the Democrat presidential candidate during the party's national convention next month. Meanwhile, drone-melting laser weapons will be deployed by South Korea within this year to shoot down unmanned North Korean aerial vehicles. Our correspondent Bae Eun-ji was at a testing site.
A drone catches fire and crashes into the sea. It was intercepted by a laser emitted by South Korea's newly developed high-energy laser weapon, about a kilometer away from the drone. At this testing center, South Korea has been developing these laser weapons to shoot down drones. It plans to start deploying and operating them by the end of this year. It has taken 5 years and cost around $63 million for South Korea to develop the new weapon, aimed at detecting and destroying small unmanned vehicles. Laser weapons are not only quiet and invisible, but they only need electricity to operate, making them cheap, costing less than $2 per shot. South Korea is expected to become the first country in the world to officially deploy and operate laser weapons.
We have successfully completed the research and development of an advanced laser weapon. By deploying the weapon in the near future, we will work to become a leading nation in this field.
Seoul's decision to develop and deploy laser weapons comes after Pyongyang's drone provocations in recent years. In 2014, North Korean drones equipped with digital cameras were discovered after crashing near the border in Paju City in Baekneungdo Island. Then in 2020, 5 drones from the north flew across the border and breached South Korean airspace, sounding an alarm over the security threats posed by unmanned vehicles. The laser weapon is designed to shoot down small drones for now, but the country plans to develop it in the future so that it can emit more powerful beams, strong enough to counter aircraft and ballistic missiles. Bae Eun-ji, Arirang News, Daean.
South Korea's presidential office has launched a National Cybersecurity Council to address the growing volume of cyber threats from North Korea and other foreign actors. The office said Wednesday that the National Security Council convened a policy meeting attended by relevant government agencies from across the country. The president's third deputy national security advisor, Wang Yun-jong, said North Korea is continuing its illegal cyber activities, including the theft of virtual assets to finance the regime's missile development, among other operations such as the sending of balloons packed with detritus across the border. Wang also stressed that government-backed organizations and hacking groups worldwide are targeting confidential information, using artificial intelligence and cloud technology to carry out cyber attacks. Through the new Pan-Government Council, Seoul will aim to systematically counter evolving cyber threats through an integrated national response. Shifting gears to the economy, Samsung's second quarter numbers have surprised analysts, with earnings above 10 trillion won. Moon Hye-ryun has the numbers.
South Korean tech giant Samsung Electronics posted an earnings surprise for the second quarter of this year, seeing big gains in the memory chip sector. On Wednesday, the company reported an operating profit of 10.44 trillion Korean won between April and June, which is more than 14 times that of what was recorded in the same period last year. This equates to around $7.5 billion and comes following the firm's first quarterly earnings, which saw a surplus for the first time in 5 quarters. It's the first time in 10 quarters that the firm's quarterly earnings have surpassed 10 trillion won. By department, Samsung's DS division dealing with chips tallied 6.45 trillion Korean won in earnings due to strong demand for memory semiconductors such as high-bandwidth memory chips. Based on sales in this division alone, it overtook Taiwan's TSMC for the first time since the second quarter of 2022. The recovery in the market is seen as being a result of continued investment in artificial intelligence by cloud service providers and growing demand for AI in many businesses. The AI boom has also improved the company's foundry business sector, doubling its clientele in AI and high-performance computing as more orders came in for its state-of-the-art process technologies. Other than chips, the firm's MX division in charge of smartphones accounted for 2.23 trillion Korean won in operating profit, a decline from the previous quarter. Samsung Electronics attributed this to an overall decline in demand for premium smartphones, but stated that its Galaxy S24 series continued its success in shipments and revenue. Going into the second half of the year, the firm expects the memory chip market to continue flourishing. In turn, it plans to increase sales of its newest generation of HBM, the HBM3E. With its HBM3 chips cleared for use in NVIDIA's processors in China, analysts predict that the more sophisticated HBM3E chips could be given the green light for NVIDIA's other AI processors later this year and give the firm's earnings a boost for the third quarter. The overall demand for smartphones is also expected to increase in the third quarter of the year, as well as premium products integrating AI features. 문혜련, Arirang News.
The United States is to ramp up its efforts to keep the Chinese chip industry in check. According to Reuters on Wednesday, the Biden administration is to reveal a new regulation on exports of chip manufacturing equipment from some foreign countries to Chinese chip makers. This would limit Chinese chip makers from receiving equipment from Israel, Taiwan, Singapore, and Malaysia. Around 6 manufacturing factories in China are expected to be affected. However, the U.S. government ensured that shipments from allies such as South Korea, Japan, and the Netherlands would be excluded. This rule is an extension of the Foreign Direct Product Rule, which states that the U.S. government has authority to regulate products that use American software or technology, even if they are made in a different country. South Korea's automobile exports recorded an all-time high in the second quarter of this year. According to the Korea Customs Service on Wednesday, their export value reached nearly $18 billion during the April to June period, up 6.8% on year. This was mainly due to a recovery in demand in major regions including North America and continuous demand for hybrid vehicles. Auto exports have been on the rise for 9 consecutive quarters since the second quarter of 2022. However, imports fell by over 25% in the second quarter, making it the 4th consecutive quarterly drop. Findings for June show a mixed economic performance, with industrial output extending its on-month retreat, while private spending rebounding. Park Gun-woo covers the causes and more.
Industrial output for South Korea dropped in June compared to the previous month, while spending and investment both saw increases. According to related data released by Statistics Korea on Wednesday, overall industrial production fell by 0.1% on month in June. That's the second total output drop in as many months. By sector, public administration and construction decreased by 5.1% and 0.3% respectively, dragging the total industrial output down as well. Statistics Korea says the lower output in public administration was due to earlier than usual budget executions made this year. But the agency pointed to the increases in the mining and manufacturing sectors, including chips and chemical products.
On the production side, semiconductors are booming because the demand outlook for IT devices is good and the AI industry is growing continuously. Exports for chips are good too.
Private spending rebounded 1% in June from May, making it the first time in 3 months that the country saw a rise in spending. That's attributed to greater sales in durable goods such as automobiles and semi-durable goods including shoes and bags. But data also showed that spending dropped by more than 3% compared to a year before, making it the fourth consecutive drop. Equipment investment increased by 4.3% in June on month. Investment in machinery, including special industrial machinery, rose by over 6%. Park Gonu, Arirang News.
South Korea's national tax revenue plunged in the first half of the year, heightening concerns about a potential tax deficit despite optimistic forecasts from the government. Data from the Finance Ministry released on Wednesday showed that revenue from January to June dropped by nearly 10 trillion Korean won, or over $7 billion compared to the same period last year. This comes as a result of a fall in collected corporate tax, which tumbled by more than 34% on-year due to deteriorating corporate performance from major conglomerates. The government is counting on interim prepaid corporate taxes with improved performance in the second half of the year to boost tax revenue. Turning to the major medical dispute in the country. The deadline for recruiting trainee doctors for the year's second half ended today, apparently with very few applicants. Sinayang reports.
Recruitment for trainee doctors at 126 hospitals nationwide ended on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Since Monday last week, hospitals have been recruiting for 7,645 trainee doctor positions for programs starting in September. Although the government offered disciplinary exemptions for returning junior doctors, very few have applied. These included an exemption from the rule prohibiting residents who resign during their training period from returning to the same position within a year. However, the medical community has largely ignored the recruitment efforts, with some medical professors planning to boycott training programs for junior doctors and calling for the government to scrap its medical reform plan before any negotiations. Health Minister Cho Kyung said on Tuesday that the government is aware of the low application numbers, but reiterated that no additional measures would be taken to encourage returns. The number of applicants to the country's 5 major training hospitals is very low. Some have had no applicants at all, while others, such as Seoul National University Hospital and Samsung Medical Center, had only a few ahead of the deadline. Before the recruitment ended, an official from one of the hospitals said that it was uncertain if the number would even exceed single digits. Amid this situation, resident doctors who have not returned are seeking jobs at private clinics, resulting in a decrease in salaries as more people compete for limited positions. Meanwhile, the Korean Medical Association announced on Wednesday that it has formed a task force to help non-returning resident doctors who are struggling to find jobs. It will connect these residents with private clinics and create a standard contract after determining a salary range that both residents and private clinics can agree on. Sinayong, Arirang News.
Journalist turned politician Lee Jin-suk has begun her first day at work as the head of the nation's broadcast watchdog. After the longest ever confirmation hearing at the National Assembly, Lee went straight to work at the Gwacheon Government Complex earlier on this Wednesday. The appointment of the head of Korea Communication Committee does not require parliamentary approval. Her nomination by President Yoon Suk-yeol has been met with fierce backlash from opposition lawmakers. Separately, President Yoon has tapped former governor of Gyeonggi-do Province Kim Mun-soo to lead the Labor Ministry. Kim is a 3-term lawmaker who last served as the chair of the Presidential Economic, Social, and Labor Council. President Yoon has also appointed new ambassadors. For Japan, Park Cheol-hee, former chancellor of the Korean National Diplomatic Academy, and for Australia, former Admiral Shim Seung-sub. Team Korea has notched another Olympic medal, this time in table tennis, for the first time in over a decade. It also added a medal in the men's under 81 kilogram judo event. Lee Seung-jae gives us the details.
It took 12 years, but South Korea finally added an Olympic medal in table tennis. It was in mixed doubles with Shin Yoo-bin and Im Jong-hoon, ending the long drought by winning bronze. The Shin-Lim duo defeated Wang Chunting and Du Hoi Kem of Hong Kong in straight sets 4-0, winning their first career Olympic medals. The two fought for the third-place finish after falling short against the top-seeded mixed pair from China in Wang Chu-chin and Sun Yun-sha during the semifinals on Monday. The podium finish for Shin and Lim also allowed for a brief and rare Olympic moment where the South Koreans greeted and congratulated North Korean silver medalists Lee Jong-sik and Kim Geum-young. South Korea added another bronze medal on Tuesday, this time in the men's under 81 kilogram judo competition. Lee Jun-hwan became the world's third-best under 81 kilogram judoka after defeating third in the world-ranked Belgian judoka Matthias Kase, scoring a waza-ari or half point just 48 seconds into the sudden death extra period. Lee secured South Korea's second Paris Olympic medal in judo. Despite being his first Olympics, and despite being just 2 years away from his senior career, Lee expressed slight disappointment and vowed to train harder so that he can win an Olympic gold in Los Angeles in 2028. But the future is bright for the 22-year-old judoka, who the International Judo Federation has even nicknamed Lightning Man, saying he's so fast that he can win a match before the player introduction is over. Meanwhile, in their first ever final of an Olympic swimming relay competition on Tuesday, the South Korean men's 4x100 meter freestyle relay team finished sixth. The four-member team of Yang Jae-hoon, Lee Ho-jun, Kim Woo-min, and Hwang Sun-woo finished with a final time of 7 minutes 7.26 seconds. Kim had earlier won a bronze medal in the men's 400 meters. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
In Seoul, a heat wave warning has been in place for 2 days in a row, with heat of around 35 degrees Celsius continuing nationwide. This morning, heat wave warnings were expanded to the capital area as a whole, as well as Gangwon-do province and the Chungcheong-do and Jeollado provinces. Heat waves and tropical nights will continue as a hot and humid North Pacific high pressure expands. The temperature rises to its highest by 4 p.m., and the number of people suffering from heat-related illnesses is increasing rapidly. Please find time to rest in the shade when you're outside and drink water even if you're not thirsty. Tomorrow morning will start off at 25 to 27 degrees all over the country. Highs will move up to 33 in Seoul, Daegu 36, Gyeongju 37 degrees. There's more rain forecast in Seoul and other central parts of the country on Friday. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world. That's all we have for today. Thank you for watching. Arirang News will be back at 9 a.m. Korea time.